Hi, it's John from Crafts by John UK. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really simple, clean and simple style Christmas card. You can see I've used a DL card, which is a 20 centimetre by 9, and I've just used two simple stamps, a set of gifts with pretty bows and ribbons, and then a simple sentiment that says it's the most wonderful time of the year. This is a nice, clean and simple card suitable for batch making for Christmas, using literally two stamps and a few felt tip pens to colour. I've also added a tiny little bit of pink inking underneath to give it almost like a shadow effect, but not too precise because we've got presents that are up and down. So just to give it a little bit of interest. But anyway, it's a nice simple card. If you want to see how I do it, please stay tuned. So I've got the two stamp sets. This is by Stampers Anonymous. It's a Christmas greetings stamp set. I think it's called Tiny Text Christmas CMS 424. It's a very useful set. I have used it so many times. This red rubber, but it stamps perfectly. I'm going to use this one. It's the most wonderful time of the year. So I should just pop the others on the side out of the way. And I'm going to grab my stamping platform. I'm going to use my platform because I just want to make sure I get everything in the right place. So I'm just going to pop this card in here. And what I'm thinking, I've got this stamp as well, which is Christmas presents. So this is going to be a really simple card. I've not used this before. It's an unbranded one that I found, I think, on eBay or Temu, one of those. But what I'm imagining is Christmas presents and then just the sentiment straight underneath. Very, very simple. So I'm going to do presents and the sentiment, and that's it. And then I'm going to colour these in with pro markers, so I get lots of bright, vivid colour. And that's it, literally. I might actually just draw a line or do some subtle shading under the presents just to ground them, but that's going to be it. Just going to flip that card over because I just noticed there's a little mark on there. Okay, cool. So first of all, I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So I'm going to put it off center. I'm not going to put it beautifully in the middle because I don't want it in the middle. I want it slightly different. Well, so I'm going to put it there. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to use some VersaFine Onyx Black. And I'm just going to ink that up and get that stamped first of all. So there we go, that's done. Now I'm going to emboss that with some VersaFine Clear because I want it nice and set and nice and glossy black. But before I then heat emboss it, I'm actually going to stamp the other one. So I'm just going to pop that back in there and I'll take that stamp off and I will clean it. And then I'm just going to lay this one down, kind of like that. Flip my stamping platform around because this is now a clear stamp. Pop that in. I'm just going to check that that's actually straight. And you can, this is a little tip, you can use the lines on the stamping platform. I can see straight away the gap there is bigger than there, so that tells me that is not level. So I'm going to just alter that. This is also a new stamp, so I'm just giving it a rub with my hand because quite often you get dust from the factory and you don't want that to affect the way it stamps. So let's just have another look at that. Yeah, that looks fine. So again, in with the VersaFine Black. Obviously, sorry, this is off camera, but it's just stamping onto the stamp. Just press that down slightly. Let the ink soak into the paper. And there we go. Now I can see straight away I've got a few problems. So I'm going to go back and just give that a bit of a harder press. As I said, this is the first time I've used it. It may need a second inking. So I'm just going to do that now. And that's the benefit of using the stamping platform. If I'd stamped this freehand, I probably would have struggled to get it in the right place again. There we go. And you can see now I've got a really nice, good impression. So I'm just going to pop that into the emboss powder. Just get that nicely embossed. And just embossing it like this, it creates a slightly raised edge, which is really good to colour up to. And also just gives you the colour with a real a gloss vibrancy to it. So I'm just heating my heat tool. It's always best to bring it up to temperature before you apply it to the project, otherwise you're just blowing cool air at it, which doesn't do anything. So get it warm, and then lifting it off the counter so that the heat can go through the paper. Basically, you heat emboss it, and straight away you'll see the black starts getting glossy, the embossed powder is heated, and as I said, it also gives you a slightly raised edge to colour up to, so that's useful when you're colouring. This is going to take a little while to colour. I might fast forward through that section. I'm going to use my Pro markers, as I said. I usually colour with Arteza watercolour pens, but on this one I want really bright, solid colour. So I'm going to use my Pro markers, which are alcohol-based markers. So I'm just going to flip that over and heat the back. That's always useful to do because it also stops your paper from bending so much, but essentially also captures any embossed powder that you might have missed. There we go, that's done. So you can see now we've got a lovely clear image, and if I hold it up to the camera, I think you can probably see it's got a gloss effect. So, okay, I'm just going to pop that on the side while I clean my stamps off. So I've got a damp cloth. Always best to use a cloth and not wipes. Better for your stamps because it doesn't leave any loose fibres. Also better for the environment as well. So there we go, that's that clean. And similarly, I'll just clean the stamp as well. Always best to use a cloth. And I just wash this in the sink, and then every now and then I chuck it in the washing machine. Okay, so let's pop them onto the side. I'm actually going to do a batch of these cards, so I shall come back to those later. Right, so we've now got our lovely stamped image, and you can see I've got a bit of a curl on the paper, so I'm just kind of bending that just to flatten it out. That'll be fine, of course, once I stick it down. So I've got my big tub of Pro markers here. Now, what we want typically when we're colouring is lots of bright colours. So we would want orange, we would want yellow, purple, we probably want a green, a pink. I'm picking out quite bold colours. Pastel blue, no, that's not very bright. Blue pearl, that's also not very bright. We need a blue, there you go, there's one. Sky blue, that'll do. So just want some variety in the different colours we've got. Also, worthwhile picking out a couple of colours in each colour, because then we can actually do some edging. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Right, let's start then. So I'm just going to go straight in. What I'm going to do, some of these, I've got a ribbon that's actually probably a hollow ribbon, but I'm actually going to colour in those holes because I want to get the variety. So let's start off. So I'm going to pick out, say, the two purples first of all. So what I shall do is I shall do a purple around the edge. And there's no right or wrong way really to colour. And then I should take a different colour and I should colour over all of that, because that then gives you a bit of a blend. Now, straight away I can see that this is an old one and it's a bit dried up, so I'm going to try the other end. Yeah, that's not going to have it, so I think I'll actually go back in with this colour. So this one's going to be more solid. But some of these are a bit old. Doesn't really matter because you end up with solid colour. And then pick a very contrasting colour for the ribbon. So I'm going to do purple and yellow. Okay, that's one done. The amethyst is going to go in the bin. Right, let's do this one. So go for maybe some orange blobs. And opposite to orange and looking very good is blue. So we'll probably go in with the blue for the actual main colour. I should probably do the ribbon in orange. And I'll go in maybe with the blue for the main body. I don't use these that often, so quite a lot of them are getting a bit dried up, unfortunately. You can usually kind of drag enough colour out of them, either one end or the other. If that end's dried up, try the other. Obviously you've got two different ends to play with, and this end does sometimes give you a little bit more control because it's got a narrower effect. go. That's fine. That is a bit dried up, I have to say. Right, this pink one, I think probably 2 different coloured pinks in stripes would look nice. But you get the drift. You just basically colour as you go. Don't need to worry about making these too 3D. They're kind of fine. Let's do a green, pink and green, pepperminty and pink. This green is quite a nice one. Verde, mint green, yeah, mint green. I'm slightly over the line there, but you can kind of colour that out with the other colour. Now, what colour ribbon to do on that one? That's a damn good question. Maybe a different pink. Slightly different, slightly lighter. There we go. Right, now let's go orange. So you can see there's a bit of colouring on here. It doesn't actually take that long though once you get going. And it doesn't need to be perfect either. These are presents. The paper would be slightly different. I'm going to grab a different blue actually, because that other one is a bit dried up. I think this is cadet blue. There we go. Let's have a look for some other colours. What have we got? We've got another yellow. Oh no, that one does not look good. That's tulip yellow, but I think that is probably, that end is dead, this end is okay. I definitely need to go through and throw some out that are a bit exhausted. And it looks a bit similar, so I think we'll go in with a different colour. Maybe this one, which is gold. The good thing about Pro markers, you don't get any seams, you don't get any joins where when you're colouring one area ends and another area begins. So that's quite good. Obviously they are good for blending if you want to do blending, but on something like this, I probably wouldn't bother because they are presents. They don't have to be, they're not like something in nature. So no, I wouldn't bother. Do them fairly flat colour. Right, so we'll do red, and that would be nice with maybe a kind of mid green, which I don't have out. So ooh, lime green, that could be interesting. See, I've gone over the edge there a little bit. Now, what I need at this point is a blender, which I have called grey. There we go. That's a blender. Always check the colour on your blender before you start, because sometimes they do take the colour that you've used previously. If you do that, you risk adding another colour to a project. There you go. I'm just going to go over all of that green with the blender. I'm kind of pushing that red back in. There you go. It's kind of gone now. Okay. What haven't we used? What about a different green here? Yeah, there we go. This is leaf green. Slightly different tone. And then maybe green dots here. Simple to colour, but will look quite nice when we finish. Green and purple maybe. This is violet actually. I've made 6, well, I've cut out 6 of this size card, so I'm probably going to colour 6 of these, but I find this quite relaxing. I can just sit and easily colour those. go. And then, what else have we got? What have we got? So we haven't got much yellow on there, so maybe let's do something in a yellow. Let's find another yellow in the box. This one is sunflower. I think this is quite a bright one. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe yellow and red. Some of these are really easy to colour. So that one, and actually what I'll do is I'll do 2 in red and a ribbon red, but then I'll do another layer in orange just to give it a bit of variety. There we go. And the end one, I will do a red ribbon. And maybe a pink present. I do love colouring with Pro markers. They're such bold, vibrant colour. They're really good for something like this. Maybe pink here as well. And then I've just got that one in the middle, which, what are we thinking? I've got much blue here, so maybe do something in blue. And I've got, what about a dark blue? Have we got a dark blue? Probably should have really had a look before I started. There we go, there's a blue. Oh yeah, they're two quite different blues. There we go. So, all my presents are coloured. You can see. Just double checking to make sure they all look okay. That one's got a little bit of blue in the orange, so I might just go over the orange again. You can always go back in and correct. That's okay, that's okay. They all look okay. There we go. Now what I might do, as I said, is just add a little bit of shadow. So what I'm probably going to do is just grab a piece of scrap, a straight piece of scrap, which that is not. There we go, straight piece of scrap. Now, I don't know, I'm assuming the bottom of these... See, that's the only problem I'm going to have, though, if I do that, because some presents are above and some presents are below. What I was thinking to do was cover up like that, and then just do some very faint shadow. So, what I might do, just grab a brush with a little bit of blue residue on it. I think there's actually anything on that one, or this one. There we go, it's got a bit of pink on it. There we go, just to give it a tiny little bit of interest. And you can see what that's done. Now, what you can do is just go and fill in under those that are slightly higher, because you're not going to get too much ink on the actual cards, just so that you don't have such a pronounced line. There we go. And that just gives it a little bit of grounding. So what I would do now is I will mount that on some black card. So just going to take my double-sided. I'm not going to do any kind of inking around the edges. I want this to be a really clean and simple. So I'm just going to leave it exactly how it is. And this is really useful if you've got a batch make cards. If you need to make 100 cards like I do, then making, say, 5 or 6 of these really doesn't take much time. And these are still quite a nice effective card, but just a lot simpler to make. Just pop a piece in the middle there just to hold it down. And then I always use my tweezers. So I'm going to just rip this off because this is just a layer. Stick that down to the black, and then I'll mount that on a 9x20 card blank, which I'm just going to grab from my drawer. There we go. So that's just your basic 9x20 card blank. Just going to quickly fold that with my bone folder. Make sure it's lined up and just go over the other side as well. Right, let's stick this down. So just grab a corner and get a roughly equal width. There we go. And then we now need to use our scalpel and cut the other side. I will cut this end first because I want as much paper as possible to anchor so that it doesn't move when I cut. Yeah, a couple of strokes usually does it. And then this one as well. Just do this by eye. These are handmade cards. It doesn't need to be perfect down to the micromillimeter. As long as you've got a fairly decent eye, you can get it roughly right. Usually looks okay. So there we go. So we've now got our black border, and then just going to again, actually I run out of glue, out of sellotape, so I'm going to glue it. So this is just basic PVA glue in a little applicator bottle. You don't need a ton of it. Just go around the edges. I find doing this kind of circle helps. It stops getting loads of glue on the edge, and it stops it seeping out when you actually sit the card down. A little bit in the middle, just for good measure. But as I say, you don't need a ton of it. And you don't need all these fancy special glues as well that other people spend a fortune on. I make hundreds of cards every year, and I use the most basic PVA glue I can get in the works. And it works fine. Right, there we go. So, stick that down, even it up. You've got a little bit of wiggle room, obviously, because you've used wet glue. There we go. Now, you could add, if you wanted a little bit of sparkle, you could add maybe a couple of gems or something, but I actually really like the simplicity of that card. So there we go. There's our card in, I don't know, 20 minutes from start to finish. That's a nice little simple project, and you saw how easy it was to make. If you enjoyed that, give me a like and subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post other content. You'll also find me on TikTok as Crafts by John UK. So hope you enjoyed that and have a good day.